Hello everyone, good day. Not as usual, nasa coffee shop tayo, so ready your coffee. Um, as we talk about gendered family, okay? So this is our next step. We're going to be talking about, wait, yeah, gendered family, okay? When parents have a new baby, okay, the first question they typically ask is whether they have a girl or a boy. Di ba yan ang una nating tinatanong pag may bagong panganak, lalaki ba o babae? So we technically decide whether it's going to be a girl or a boy without consent for the child, 'di ba? So in this module, we're going to be talking about how family influences gender. Okay? Now, okay,
Sir,
let's move. Ay, hi. Okay, our objectives for today is we are to identify the effects of parent socialization of gender and children. Sige na po, Kat. You may go. Okay na po. Yeah. Okay. Our objectives for today is to identify the effects of parents socialization of gender in children, understand parents' gender stereotypical expectations, understand parents' gender role modeling, compare and contrast the different treatment of daughters and sons, and formulate strategies or action plan on how to resolve the negative impact of gender stereotype families. Okay? So, children's gender assignment before a powerful social identity that shapes children's lives. So, tandaan natin, the first information that we put into the child is basically their gender. Ano? So, it's going to be impactful in their lives. So, halawig siya. So, kung ano ba ang pag-develop during their childhood, it would amplify into big things later on in their life. So, without proper care, kung pinabayaan lang natin ang pag-develop ng bata at hindi maganda sa kanilang upbringing, sa simula pa lang, then pangit po ang kakalabasan nito later on. Pwedeng magka-problema sa attitude or sa behavior. Okay? So parents provide children with their first lesson about gender. Possible ways that parents might influence children's gender development include role modeling and encouraging different behaviors and activities in both son and daughter. Okay? So yun ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon. Ano ba ang impact nito? Kasi we can identify our parents or guardian as our first teacher, first influencer, first encourager. So encourager ba ang term natin or catalyst, okay? They play a very important and key role in how we grow up. So we have to take that seriously. Next is let's talk about gendered family. Okay? Let's start with gender role modeling. One of the dramatic social changes is in much of the industrialized world, okay, in the last 50 years, okay, women has been more active now in labor, okay? Last 50 years, before that, puro lalaki, di ba, ang sa labor force. But now, we are somehow changing that schema. Even in our earlier discussion, that women are now engaging in engaging in activities such as labor force. In contemporary to industrialized society, most women with children work outside of the home. Okay? So, nasa labas na ng bahay siya. Hindi yung katulad nung, if you can still remember our first discussions that ang babae sa bahay kasi yung makuti-kuti ng materials. But now, and for the past 50 years, it has been slowly changing that women are now able to participate in some outside the house roles. Okay? So nagkakaroon nga minsan ng dual career ang parents, no? They sometimes they are mothers inside the house and then a labor force outside the house. So nagkakaroon nun. The potential influence of parental gender role modeling has also been implicated in the studies. Okay? So let's move this. So let's compare hetero and homo. What do you mean by hetero and homo? So now we have two types of parents. No, we have hetero and then homo. Okay, hetero is a father and a mother. Homo is not, no? So it could be married lesbians, married gays. So we can have that. So we have to compare how the child is developing in these two aspects. So ano ba, may pinagkaiba ba? Is having hetero parents better than homo, or the other way around? Is homo parents better than hetero parents? One thing for sure, we cannot justify that it would be better to have hetero or homo. But we can say that there's a big difference as to how the child grows. Ano pa? So, magkakaroon po ng pinagkakaiba. Ano ba mga pagkakaiba niya? Okay? Hetero, I'm sure your parents are hetero. So, you know what it's like. So, let's try to compare it with homo. What happens when you have homo parents? Okay? I've read a lot of researches and articles about this, that say for example, a child raised by two lesbians, sabi nating two lesbians, becomes a bit more feminine and less likely masculine. Bakit ganon? Kasi lesbian po siya, no matter what they do, they are still woman biologically. Okay po? So the masculinity is lacking in the relationship. That's why hindi masyadong na-develop yun sa bata. Okay po? In a hetero family, let's say a boy, usually pag boy, nagkakaroon ng father-son talk, di ba? The father-son talk is very critical, no? Hindi po yan joke, hindi po yan dapat maliitin natin. Kaya this is also the reason why, let's tackle this a bit, segue muna konti. Yung mga single parent, that's why it's very hard for the single parent to become a full functioning family. Solely because hindi dahil hindi kaya. Kaya pong palakihin yung bata. Kaso may kulang lagi. Hindi natin pwedeng i-ignore ang fact na may kulang. If you are a single parent na father or single parent na mother, if father po, you lack the feminine side of honing your child. And kung mother ka naman, kulang yung masculine side of honing your child. Okay? This may lead to behaviors uncontrollable when they grow up. This can lead to rebellious attitudes or identity crisis roles. Okay po? So, magkakaroon po ng problem later on in life. Pwede yan. Okay? When same-gender parents divided labor with one parent as primary caregiver and other parent as primary breadwinner, their children were more likely to express stereotype views about adult roles and occupation. So pag yung same gender na parents, homo, um, ang isa iwan sa bahay, ang isa nag-work, then nagkakaroon ng stereotype views sa adult roles and occupation. Nagkakaroon na develop ng ganun yung bata. Na titingnan niya na dapat ito ganito. Nag-a-assign yung bata ng gender role, which is dapat wala. Okay? Ini-imply niya na dapat yung isa ganito, yung isa ganito. So pwedeng magkaroon ng confusion sa understanding ng bata during development. Okay? So I hope that's clear about gender role modeling. I have more explanations at the module if you are ano, confused. Let's now compare sons and daughters. Okay? There is always and will always be division in sons and daughters. So sons versus daughters. We are not here to pinpoint who is better. Instead, we are here to compare and contrast their gender, the nature of their gender, and how it plays on in their family. Because a family cannot be a family without daughters and sons, no? Dapat kompleto, may anak. Hindi ko naman sinabing dapat kompleto. Dapat may daughter ka, may son ka. No, not necessarily. But for this sake, let's imagine a family with a father and a mother, a daughter and a son. So, in many parts of the world, parents with limited financial resources have a strong preference for sons. Okay, Bakit gano'n? Mapapansin natin laging gusto lalaki, no? Not just because of continuing the family name, no? Yung dalahin mo yung apelyido, 'di ba? Usually gano'n. But even before, in some countries, sons are favorable. Bakit po? They have that connotation that sons are blessings because they can work. Okay, they are workforce, no? And daughters will become wives in the future. So hindi ganun ka balanse. I mean, baby pa lang, hinusgahan mo na sa kanyang future before. But now, it's more than that, no? Um, as a result, priority for resource opportunities ranging from healthcare to education may be given to sons over daughters. May mga story tayong maririnig na pinauna muna si kuya at si kuya ang tutulong na lang sa amin. Ganon, di ba? This stark contrast in the differential treatment of sons and daughters is generally not seen in wealthier countries. Okay? Kung may compare natin, di ba yung sabi ko sa inyo, magiging wife, magiging labor, pero sa mga medyo may kayang countries such as the United States, the United Kingdom, the Britain, and those countries, um, it seems that there is nearly an equal opportunity for both son and daughter. Bakit ganon? We don't look at them as somebody that could help us. Instead, we look at them as our legacy, as our son and daughter. So may sariling choice, may freedom sila. That's also why um, on the next part of this discussion, not this, but the next video, I will be explaining to you what triggers this gender differences. No? Bakit ganito to? Bakit ganito? Ano nagkukos sa pagkakaroon ng division? Bakit naghiwalay? Okay? According to one comprehensive review of studies conducted in Western countries, kasi most likely medyo may mga kayang countries doon, the most consistent manner by which parents treat girls and boys differently is through encouragement of gender stereotyped activities. So it starts with how we give them responsibility. Okay po? Kuya, bantayan mo ang yung younger sister. 'Di ba? Usually ganun eh. Ikaw ang kuya ng bahay, ikaw ang lalaki sa bahay. Pag umalis si tatay, ikaw ang lalaki sa bahay. 'Di ba? Those types of activities will embed in the subconscious part of the child, thus leading to a gender stereotype family. 'Di ba? So nagkakaroon na doon ng deviation na dapat ikaw ang mag-alaga sa mga kapatid mo, ganon. So these activities, those are just examples, tend to create a stereotype na pag-intindi. Okay, understanding of what a boy should be. Na dapat ini-eliminate yon. Bakit po ini-eliminate yon? Because once you do that, according to our first discussion, it's already preempted na dapat ito ang gawin mo in the future. 'Di ba? So, diktado na kung ano ka at ano dapat ang ugali mo, anong dapat gawin mo. So, that's not a very good start to raise your children. Ano? Grabe makapagsalita. Kala mo may anak. Anyway, going back, let's compare them. So we have three factors here. Example lang tong factors na to. You could have more than these three, but I will just discuss to you three things. Okay, tatlong bagay lang na pinagkakaiba ng sons and daughters. Okay, sa toys, we can identify that toys, when we go to stores, magkaiba talaga ang toys ng lalaki sa babae. Okay, from the color, from the activity, from how it is being used. Okay, so there are also subtle ways that parents may reinforce gender stereotypes even when they are not overly encouraging them. Um, Girls like dolls. So, regaluhan ko ng Barbie yung anak kong babae. Yung lalaki, regaluhan ko ng bola to play basketball. So, these are already small influences that we give our children. It doesn't matter if it's intentional or not. This is one example of how we assign how we cultivate stereotyping at an early age. So bata pa lang ginibigyan na natin ng yung stereotype idea behind the gender. Next is responsibilities. Okay, usually, not in general, but usually responsibilities of the girls are to do things within the house, yung chores, yung basic chores, cleaning, ganyan, ganyan, ganyan. And boys, yung magpapakain ng baboy, yung magsasama sa tatay pag those things are already placing gender stereotype in your children. Okay, so these are called, we can call them descriptive stereotype. Okay, these are essences about gender na dapat pag lalaki, ganito. Pag babae, ganito. These are the essences that we implant in our children. Okay? Coffee break. However, when we look at other countries, bakit ganun, sir? Titingin tayo sa atin, tapos titingin tayo sa labas. Um, we compare what is happening here and what is happening out there. We are not here to dictate what is correct. We are here to study how the world, that the families around the world is influenced by this gender. Okay? Hindi po tayo dapat close-minded lang na sa atin lang pinag-aaralan natin. So we compare what we have here and what they have there. So parents in many industrialized cultures are more flexible about the play activities they consider acceptable for daughters than sons. Also, fathers tend to be more rigid than mothers in encouraging the gender type play, especially in sons. Okay? Ganito. Um, yung babae nag-try mag-basketball. So, it's okay for her to play basketball. Di ba medyo okay naman tingnan, hindi naman masamang tingnan. But if you see a boy playing with the doll, that becomes a very big issue. Yung medyo iba na ang dating nun sa atin, di ba? So, with that thought in mind, um, we are somehow deviated into stereotyping. Even hindi tayo ganun kabayas, may hint of stereotyping pa rin tayong ginagawa. Okay? So, many in US we have I've read a survey that many American parents encourage athletic participation. What do you mean by athletic participation? These athletic participation caters to the masculinity. No? Yung mga 100-meter dash, mga ganun, basketball, etc. Pinapagawa nila sa daughter nila. And some parents encourage doll play, a feminine stereotype activity for their sons. So, kung kaya mong gawin yan sa anak mo, kung may anak kang lalaki, you can encourage them to play with dolls. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? But somehow, many parents are alarmed in such cases. However, evidence suggests that some parents are more tolerant of cross-gender type behaviors in sons than seen in earlier decades. Okay? Now, it's people are more tolerant to that. Okay? So, hindi. Ang gawa kasi ganito eh. I've talked to some of my students. I will not disclose any name, but they have shared to me that they have trouble coming out of the closet to admit that whether they are lesbian or gay, hirap sila nun. Bakit hirap sila nun? The common thing is kung sa gay, the issue with the father. Ano po ang issue sa father? Kahihiyan sa pamilya. How is it na ang gender ang naging kahihiyan sa pamilya? Were you raised to become what they want you to be? No, you were raised to become who you are. So, we have to stop that. No, we have to stop that. Maraming ganito, no? Especially if the parents are not very much oriented with with gender equality, no? So hindi sila masyadong open-minded para dito. So we have to promote cross-gender type behaviors. So you'll become teachers, you'll encounter parents with this behavior. This is how you approach it. Okay? Saan ba natin, sir, magagamit itong sons and daughters na to? Encouragement, responsibility, toys. Saan ba namin ito magagamit? When you become teachers, you'll encounter parents with this stereotype behavior. And this is how you handle them. Okay, explain to them um, that there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, explain to them, talk to them. Okay, so this is your job. This is why we have this discussion. It's not just for let, but also for you when you become teachers. Okay, so next is play pattern and disclaimers. Sir, may disclaimers? Yes po. Let's not be one-sided. No, masyado lang tayong not necessarily subjective, but according to observations lang. So this disclaimer, I tried to look for researches and studies, articles regarding these patterns with regarding sa toys, sa responsibility, and everything. So itatry natin siyang i-disprove para makita natin ang both sides. Bakit ganito, bakit ganyan. Para hindi naman tayo one-sided. Okay, we're going to be studying the work of Hardy et al., Alexander, Wilcox, and Woods. We're also going to be studying M cell and P cell. Next is the work of Gredlin, Jadva, and Colombo. Okay, so we're going to be making a story, a disclaimer story of what we have just discussed. Kailangan nating hanapan ng loophole yung pinag-usapan natin para maintindihan natin siya ng buo. Okay? So, according to Hardy, okay, addresses the difference among preschool boys and girls, their development of fundamental movements. This time period, sa preschool yan, this time period is specifically crucial because if a child's fundamental movement skills do not develop properly, then their future development will be drastically impacted. Okay? So dapat pa lang sa preschool, we are incorporating them with skills, movement skills, fundamental movement skills so that they'd function well in the future. Okay? So regarding that, yun ang sabi niya, ito ang first part natin. So nalinawan tayo na importante ang first part. And to follow up that with Alexander and Wilcox, dito na rin papasok tong M cell and P cell. Okay? Um, ang M cell po is, wait, I think I have one yan. Oops. Ay, wala. Sorry. Yan. Okay? So, where were we? Yung M cell. Okay. M cell is magnocellular pathway and P cell is parvocellular pathway. Okay? Ano ba yun, sir? These are the cells sa mata, no? So, at an early age, both boys and girls have this. Okay? At an early age, we tend to have these cells already, even as of now, no? Ano ba, sir, ang magno and parvo? Madali lang po siyang i-separate, okay? Um, P cells are specifically targeted to, alam ko meron to eh. Okay. P cells are technically more attracted to form and color. Okay, form and color. M cells are more focused to movement. Sir, saan ba ito pumapasok? Ganito po. Bakit daw mahilig ang bata? Bakit ang mahilig ang boy sa truck? Cars, trucks, robots na gumagalaw and everything? It's because they have the M cell more dominant. Okay? And then, bakit naman ang babae colorful? May mga flowers and ganyan-ganyan. It's because of the parvocellular. Okay? It's because it's more focused to colors. Para sa naman to, sir? Kasi according to Alexander Wilcox and Woods, before, yung ancestors, not necessarily ancestors, but in the evolution process, okay, This was developed because of yung sa movement, it's for the spears, hunting, and all. Yung spears, hunting, naka-embed sa genetics natin. Okay? Na lalaki, built for hunting. That's why merong movement. Attracted ang batang lalaki sa movement. Kaya po gusto nila yung trucks and cars. Yun ang explanation niya ha, yun ang explanation niya. Hindi dahil stereotype to ng society. But they're just more attracted to toys which are moving. No? So kung may anak ka lalaki, kung gusto mong interesado siya lagi sa laruan, something na moving. Okay? So yo-yo, balloon, and those things. However, if Pixel, para naman to sa colors and shapes. That's also why ang sa babae is dolls na colorful, the shape of the stuffed toys, 'di ba? So, yun daw yung explanation according to Alexander Wilcox and Woods. Okay? Also, it was seconded with Gredlin. Sabi naman ni Gredlin, not only that, hindi lang po yun ang characteristics nito. Kasi si Gredlin gumawa rin ng study. Gusto niyang malaman kung about object manipulation. Kung may pinagkaiba ba ang object manipulation ng batang lalaki at batang babae. Will there be a difference? Or is it influenced by the parents? According to Gredlin, hindi po. Hindi po influenced ng parents. It is in the genetic code that 77% of boy na bata pa could tend to use object. Anong ginawa niyang test? May parang cage, tapos hindi maabot yung laruan. Okay? 77% of the boys used a stick to get a toy. Okay po? And only 33% of the 33% lang ang babaeng gumamit nung tool. So masasabi niya na hindi po influenced by parents ang object manipulation or ang paggamit ng tools such as sticks, rocks, and things like that. Okay? Tapos may isa pang disclaimer na sumunod, si Jadva and Golombok. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. Anong sabi ni Jadva and Golombok? Ang ginawa nilang experiment naman ganito. Kung walang influence ang parents, so malinaw na sa atin na mahilig ang lalaki sa cars and things like that. Mahilig naman ang babae sa shapes and colors. Now, ang question is there a particular color that a boy wants kung hindi siya na-influence ng ating media? Or is there a particular color for females? May gusto ba siya? So, nag-experiment siya. Ano experiment niya? Ganito. Experiment niya, may track siyang bago and luma. Okay? Bagong track, lumang track, bagong dal, lumang dal. Pinapili ang boy. Okay? Pinapili ang boy. So, kinuha ng boy, yung bago, pag sinabating lumang track, medyo, ano na yung color niya, yung faded na. Okay? Kinuha ng boy, yung both na brand new. Bagong dal, and then bagong track. Yun din yung babae. Lahat ganun ang pattern. So 90%, not na lahat pala, but most of them, 90% took both new toys. So there's no specific color for a gender. Hindi po natin pwedeng sabihin na boy yan, blue yan, pink yan, girl yan. Okay? So these studies form a very good story behind why boys tend to use cars. Okay? It's because of the movement. Sir, di napatunayan nating mali yung una, na mali dapat na binibigay ito. Not necessarily. This only indicates the biological aspect of choice. The encouragement, behavior, and how you develop the child plays a bigger role. Ito lang yung mas prefer nila. Okay? Hindi ko naman sinasabing para mo yung bata, anak mo lalaki maglaro ng doll. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying here is may tendency talaga yung boy for moving things. Okay? But let us not assign a specific toy for a gender. Okay? Huwag mong i-assign ang laruan sa isang gender. Panglalaki and pambabae. Di ba pag magbibili tayo ng Christmas gift, this is what we ask, no? Ano kaya mga pambabae digdi? Di ba? We ask that, and that's wrong. Why? We put gender on certain materials. Okay? Nilabel na natin, may lalaki babae palang laruan. Kala mo yun? That's how it's influenced us. Okay? So there's a detailed explanation of that, more detailed explanation of these studies and also the sources in my module. So you could look for it there if you are in doubt of these disclaimers. Okay. The next thing we have to answer is, when will a child identify its gender? Kailan ba malalaman? So on average, studies have showed that um, age 2, children become conscious of the physical differences between boys and girls. So yung pinagkaiba lang nila. Kaya mapapansin natin, yung patingin nga lang sa'yo, di ba? It's okay. They're curious. Hindi po yun bastos, no? They're curious. They are trying to compare what a male and a female is. Before their third birthday, most children can easily label themselves as either a boy or girl. So, bago mag-3, alam na nila kung girl sila or boy. Dito rin nagpapabili ang mga bata ng pink na ganito, pink na ganyan. Kasi yun ang media eh, no? By age of 4, most children have a stable sense of their gender identity. When I say this, gender identity, alam na nila kung ano sila. Okay? Ano ang mangyayari sa kanila later on. So, tapos, after knowing this, the question is how? Okay? How do children typically express their gender identity? In addition to their choices of toys, games, sports, children typically express their gender identity in the following ways. Okay, example lang to. So, kung meron pa kang iba, then dagdagan nyo pa. Okay, these are just examples of how you express your gender identity. First is clothing or hairstyle. So, nagkakaiba na agad doon. Preferred name or nickname. So, magpipili ng name. Next is social behavior that reflects varying degrees of aggression, dominance, dependency, and gentleness. Okay? So, naglalabas na yung mga behavior nila dyan. Ay, sa behavior nila, sa pagsalita, paano sila mag-react, paano sila mag-isip. This is how they express their gender identity. Next is manner and style of behavior, physical gesture, and other nonverbal actions. If you can still remember in your elementary, iba ang bow ng babae sa bow ng lalaki, di ba? So, sa babae medyo mahinhin yung turo sa amin ng pagbaw, di ba? So these things sa behavior, sa gestures, ang babae wag uupo na nakabuka ka, di ba? Laging pinapagalitan sa bahay, no? And other non-verbal actions. Okay? So, nakakita ka na bang lalaki nag-eye roll tong ganyan, pagalit? Ganyan. That's non-verbal action, no? Pero bihira yan sa lalaki, mostly sa babae. Kasi yun na yung na-develop. Yun ang kinasanayan nila. Next is social relationships, including the gender of friends and the people he or she decides to imitate. So, question sir, itong social relation, how do how do they pair up? Is it boys to boys, girls to girls? Hindi po. They pair up this way. Di ba earlier, let's go back. Here, in the play pattern, kaya ko to diniscuss para explain tong social relationships. Play pattern and disclaimers. Here, mapapansin natin, sinabi baga dito, no color or shape. Okay? Sinabi rin dito itong M cell and P cell. Pero hindi ko sinabing mostly sa lalaki to. Hindi ko sinabing lalaki lang to and babae lang to. Okay? What I said was, depende kung anong cell ang nakafocus. Ay, more sa'yo, more dominant sa'yo. So, where does this go with social relationship? We choose peers that are somehow similar with us in all of this. Yung choices sa bagay na to, itong sa play pattern, doon tayo nakiki-peer or nakiki-friend sa pinakamalapit sa pattern natin. That's also the reason why may magkapatid na hindi sundo, may magkapatid na magkasundo. Okay? Mapapansin natin in a big family, may talagang best friend dyan. Bakit ganun? Because their play pattern is similar. Not necessarily similar, but somehow near to identical. Okay? Gusto yung mga taste, parehas ang taste. So, ganun po yun. Kaya bagay yung, if you're aware of the expression, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are, is actually, this is a very good proof of that. No? We tend to stick to people who are more close to our pattern. Okay? Gender development is a normal process for all children. Okay? Let's not think overthink about this. Some children will exhibit variation similar to all areas of human health behavior. However, all children need support, love, and care from family. Also, society and school. Yan. Which fosters growth into happy and healthy adults. Okay, so we have to be, especially you're going to be teachers, you have to cater this attitude. You have to make necessary actions and activities, formulate good activities that caters no lessons gender stereotyping. Okay? So, ano ba yun sir mga activities na yun? Don't worry, dahil sa susunod, we are going to be talking about gendered classroom. So ano naman ang gagawin mo sa classroom para hindi ka gender bias? So we're going to be talking about that next meeting. So C activity, I want you to, okay, please check your module for the activities and detailed lessons. So yung mga detailed, even the sources of the materials are there. Also, the last activity is posted there. Okay, thank you for watching.